Oh, it's messed up.
Oh,
Oh,
no.
okay, hold on. Here we go. Ready? Boom. Click the wrong button. We're good. Scuff stream already.
Oh my god.
We out here. Hello, everybody. Welcome to Mechs on Deck. I clicked the wrong button, and but we're good. We recovered, and that's the important part, right? No Osiris. So, unfortunately, Osiris messaged me literally at like 7:40 and was like, "Bruh, not tonight." I won't go. If he wants to come in and chat and explain why. Oh, that was so loud in my ear. Sorry if that was really loud. I've turned it down now. Don't usually stream from my end on the everyday streams, but Osiris cannot make it tonight. But we still have Mr. Andy Nguyen. So, Mr. Andy Nguyen, welcome to the channel.
Hi everyone. I'm Andy Nguyen. I guess I'll just give a little introduction. I'm someone that's pretty new to the community. I started just before Chinese New Year last year, so it's feeling like a lot of deja vu now.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm a builder, I'm an entertainer, I'm a streamer. I started with tech on YouTube, so I'm one of those people that enthusiasts weren't much of a fan of, but I've created a community and I've met a lot of cool people. And it's been really fun. And I'm glad to be here on this show so I can connect with more people and hopefully we can answer some questions and stuff.
Hell yeah, man. So before we get completely started, I'm going to give a quick shout out to our awesome sponsors and partners. So our sponsor, SwitchMod.net, Dixie Mech, Canon Keys, and Project Keyboards. We will hear a little bit more from them later, as well as our great partners. I just typed partners because, you know, we're just saying words now, right? Zap Cables, Type Beast, and Smith & Rune.
Nick said I'm a little soft.
Soft. All right, let me just turn you up just a smidge.
I want to be hard, right?
Yeah, exactly.
I need to be hard for the stream.
Absolutely. So, and then Streaking Bison, thank you for the sub, as well as the Real Lippy, thank you for the sub. So, yeah, guys, without Mr. Osiris, if I stumble over my words, it's because I'm like a lost puppy without Osiris, so apologies. But we usually start the show off with what is called the Fast Four. So, chat, let me know how he sounds because I'll be kind of adjusting him during this. So, but with the first question being the top 4 favorite switches that you like using.
Top 4 favorite switches. It would be the Gateron Inc. V1. I really like these Moyu Blacks. I like them, but I hate them because they hurt me. They hurt me so good. What else? I'm a fan of just JWKs, but we've been moving into Milky Top. I really don't want to get into that world, but so far it's Gateron Inks, Moyu Blacks, Milky Top JWKs, and I still have a soft spot for Gateron Yellows, Milky Top as well. Just something simple, something cheap, no frills, and it's great.
Yeah, it just works, right?
Yeah.
It just works. That's the best part. Some of the simple switches, like that's why I like creams so much, right? Because like creams are just you just get them. I spring swap them personally, but they're just good right out of the box. Well, you have to lube them, but
you don't do the break-in that everyone talks about.
No, I don't.
5 months already. Practically 1/3 of the
there
time
it is.
of a
Gnarly
typical
Charlie, thank you very,
GMK
very
GB.
much. I can't believe I'm hanging around here for 5 months, practically a third of the time. Yeah, absolutely. One day I'll get GMK Terra. But yeah, I don't do the break-in. I just break them in while lubing. Like I've done all the things. And I'm like the difference is so minimal, and you might reach that break-in, that like broken in feel like a week earlier. But I'm like, oh, whatever.
Yeah, I can't do all that either. That's too much commitment. I'm trying to have fun. I'm trying not to slave away to prepare my Switch.
Yeah, it's just not for me. Like I don't film. I'm very against filming switches.
You don't film.
I don't film. I know, right? I've tried it and I was like I don't hear it. But I'm also like, I mean, I have one JWK board. I use it at work. It's on my OSA, which is an Alice board. Not filmed, sounds totally fine. Like I enjoy the way it sounds. Very still thocky. But yeah, 100 bits, no film. 420 bits. Thank you, Miss Keebnoop. So yeah, it's and once again, it's all preference, right? Like I won't tell people don't film. That's just me. I'm like, try it. Because the best part is it's easy to try. It's cheap. It's pretty cheap to try. And if you love it, go for it. And if you don't, you save yourself a lot of work.
I did the reverse for my T1. I did not film it, and then I realized I needed to. And my first experience lubing, I had to redo it.
Ooh,
And then
that's fun.
after I redid it, I was like, I feel like they're over lubed, so I took it apart a second time, cleaned it, and then did it all over again. And after everything was said and done, I was like, I hate these. I don't ever want to see them again.
It's like that scene from was a 40-Year-Old Virgin. He's like, I wanted to make an egg salad sandwich, and then I did this, and I did this, and by the end of it, I just didn't even want it.
That's exactly what happened.
So, next on the top 4 is top 4 favorite key sets. These do not have to be shipped or anything. It could be even IC. So,
All right, so I'm a huge fan of GMK Muted. The white on black and minimal, I'm super simple that way, but I like it with the Hangul alphas. And other than that, I sold this set, but I actually really miss GMK Mizu. Despite it being way too saturated, it just feels right. It looks right. There it is. And you can see it.
it's. I mean, this
blasted
is
saturated.
my camera's a bit saturated because I need to.
Yeah.
I don't want to look as pale. I mean, you can see the camera that shows all the white on my face. I have a little more red in my face, but yeah, it's. I love it. I think it's a fantastic set.
Yeah. It's one of those things where if you did not see the renders, you'll probably love it. But the people who entered the GB and then were expecting something else, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
But for what it...
Because now it's to the point where it's like you judge it based on what it looks like in person, right? Yeah, it's like you can get mad about it after that, but after a few months, I feel like some cap sets where it's like let's move away from the hate towards the render because now it exists. It's out in the real world, and
judge it differently.
Yeah, everybody has already been mad about it and either sold it or kept it because they're angry. I don't know, but. So I'm sitting with like Peaches and Cream. That was a great one that I thought was what a lot of people weren't a big fan of. I still love it. Still sitting. I mean, it's not really on a board right now, but I love the way it looks. And
I saw it in person, and it's really nice.
Yeah. And can we talk about how Muted might be the biggest mess up in regards to not matching the renders?
Is it really?
If you look at
that
blue,
was way before my time.
If you look at blue and purple, the cyan and purple.
I gotta look it up right now.
Yeah, it's bad. They look nothing like that. Purple is completely different.
I need go on the Geek Hack or something.
Yeah, probably, or just.
Oh, yeah, that purple is way darker.
Yeah, like it's like dark purple versus like.
Yeah,
like
the
lavender.
blue's close enough. I
think.
The
blue's fine. I mean, it's a little off, but I mean, it's not. But the purple is like.
The purple is so ugly in the in the render.
And this is we try and talk where it's like this is where sometimes what comes to you looks better than what was originally done. So, but next up, your top 4 favorite boards.
Top 4 favorite boards. This is a question people ask me for a lot, just because I run through so many. But it gets difficult because people always ask me to rank them. I'm like, I can't really rank keyboards. There's so much that goes into each thing: the sound, the feel, the look, the weight, whether or not it has a weight. But right now, I think my top, I really like 65. So these are going to be weighted toward the 65s. I really like the Chimera, but I think it's ugly.
Ooh.
Like, it has like the lip in the front, and no offense to Upas, but the cannon's a little big and a little loud in the top right. The weight is amazing though. So this is like a weird thing. It's like, okay, aesthetically the brass weight, great. But then you get to like where it meets and there's like a little lip in the front. It's not so great compared to everything else that's minimal. But it's my favorite because the sound and feel, anything you put into it, automatically good.
Yeah.
Versus the Iron 165, which is another one of my favorite boards. It looks amazing, but I had to rebuild it like 4 times to make it acceptable to my ears. I ended up with something pretty good, and some people really love the sound, but when I first put it in there, it sounded high pitch, it sounded tinny, I had to do some weird things with foam. I had to buy specialty foam.
What switches?
Like the highest, I think I put alpacas into brass or something.
Okay.
Oh, no, I think alpaca is on, no, I had custom plates made. There was PP, PTG, and Palm. I think I did a podcast on Palm. I didn't really like it.
So
And-
yeah, because that's interesting because like I've tried a few, but I've only ever tried tactile irons of both the
Yeah,
180
that's what they're designed
and
for.
yeah. So whenever I was like, this sounds. I mean, Osiris's Zyko Iron 165 sounds amazing. I know. Not Apiary, Mentorly has a really, really nice sounding tactile one, but I don't know how. Honestly, I can't think of too many Iron 165s that have linears. I think Lang has some.
Yeah, they're made. They just don't. They're not memorable because they sound really hollow and high pitched. But I love the look of it. I'm very simple. I know a lot of the people that I've been around. They're like, there's too many top right blocker boards. They did start with the Kiyu, and then now every single board has a top right blocker. But I like it. I'm very simple. And the iron's heavy.
Yeah.
Versus my aluminum mid, Kiko 165 was not heavy. It was light. And out of my top 4, I don't like the Kiko and the Bauer because they were light. So having it in my hand, I'm like, this doesn't feel substantial. So
Nope. You got to show them off now. You got to show them off.
Oh yeah, we gotta grab the dog.
You got to grab
My
the dog.
fiancé dog.
All right. Hey, how? My dog's barking because he can hear
Another dog barking.
the other dog barking.
All right.
Oh,
So this is Jackson.
Oh, Howie, come here. Here, let's. Oh, we'll show off. Quick dog show off. A little some Chihuahua love.
My mic is dropping. There he is. He likes being cupped and held.
He definitely looks like he likes being cupped and held. This one, he's a Chihuahua pug, so he's like just a little bit. He's like 20 pounds. So, but he's not like fat or anything. He's just he's big.
A little chunkier.
He's big. He's got a linebacker body. He is a chug. So yes, dogs are great. But yeah, it's it is funny to me that some boards just don't respond well to linears, and then some boards and on top of that, some boards just do terrible with tactiles.
Yeah.
I remember the KBD 8X. I've tried a few of those, and I felt that board never had a chance with tactiles. I never liked that board with tactiles. With linears, I was like, you could put this next to a Key Colt blind test.
Yeah.
I might even like the KBD 8X, but tactiles, I was like, this plate just does not do it.
Yeah, I did it with navies, which admittedly aren't the best sounding. It sounded okay because the board was PC, but I immediately desoldered it. I left it there. I made it my gamer board because you're supposed to game with tactiles, and then I just desoldered it.
The amount of gamer switches that I know of, I'm like, oh, I can't keep up, man. I just use my Holy Pandas. But next up, the top 4 favorite foods. A little different.
We didn't finish the 4 boards.
Oh, we didn't do the 4 boards? Okay, sorry. We got
2.
My bad.
So I'll mention everyone asked me like what my favorite sounding board is. It's gonna be the Linwell with the Palm half and the inks. I have the sound test on my channel. Some people said the Linwell doesn't sound very good, but that build was freaking amazing. And other than that, my favorite board is gonna be the Vega, the number 4 pick, just because it's a great value package. Like,
Yeah.
I just posted the sound test up today. That's my favorite switch, my favorite value package. And if I had nothing else, if I kept the Vega, I'd be fine.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. So now top 4 because we got sidetracked about the iron. So top 4 favorite foods. It can be whatever. You can be all desserts. It can be a candy bar. It can also be as vague as just an entire nationality of food.
Okay. It's hard for me to admit my favorite foods because there's been a running joke in Bueno stream about my story with bananas, but I tend to like foods shaped like phallic objects. My favorite food is gonna be spring rolls, Vietnamese spring rolls, and then following that would be Filipino lumpia, which is now an egg roll.
Okay.
And they just both are the same shape. And other than that, we have Vietnamese crepes.
Never had Vietnamese
It's like
crepes.
egg based. It's like egg based, and then you have pork in there, shrimp in there, some bean sprouts. It's called bánh xèo for anyone Vietnamese if they're in the chat. And then you wrap it in lettuce, so it's kind of like a lettuce wrap type of deal. And it's just greasy as all hell. And when you eat it, you eat with your hands. I don't know why I can't get to number 4. Every time you give me these 4 questions.
4's tough because you have your top 3, and then everything else is fighting for that last spot.
Yeah. I just like steak, man. Any kind of steak.
I mean,
I'm not a connoisseur though, and I'm glad I'm not because I don't want to go have to pay a lot of money.
Yeah, no. I mean, my favorite steak, the one I always get for my, what I always do for my birthday is just the biggest New York strip I can find, and I just pan cook it with as much butter as I can find, and I have it once a year, and then I eat it, and then I regret it for the rest of the year until I'm like, well, it's about to be my birthday again.
Forget about it, and then you come back.
Exactly. So, but guys, Andy Nguyen, he is a fantastic streamer as well as his fantastic photographer, videographer. He's got great videos on his YouTube channel. If you want to plug your YouTube link in there as well as all the links to all of his stuff is in his on his Twitch page as well. So if you do hit !guest, it will be on there. Also, that is a beautiful sounding keyboard in the background.
Moyu Blacks.
There it is. So we've got. I think we're going to be ordering some here in the next couple days. We're going to be ordering Moyu Blacks or whatever they're called. There's like Everglide Dark Jades or whatever from. Yeah. So we're going to be ordering. I think I'm going to get probably 100 and put it in I have the Godspeed 75 coming.
Nice.
And I think that will be that.
What kind of mounting is that board?
I believe it's top mount.
Okay,
gasket mounts are fine. I love my Key Colt. I've got a Key Colt 160. It's great. It's good for sounds, but I really love top mount. Although what's funny is the board that I designed is sandwich mount, but that's more for the feel. That's more for the just maximum stiffness because I don't like flexi plates.
Okay. Yeah.
So, but 18-pound steak. There it is.
The tactiles, the Moyu Blacks, I like them more when they're gasketed to kind of round out the sound a bit. Either you go full hard-on tactile stiffness, loudness, or like a daily driver. I can't do that.
Mm-hmm.
Unless I wear headphones. I think these sound amazing when I cover my ears a little bit.
just a little blockage.
Yeah, just a little blockage. But like when it's going direct to my ear, I can't deal with the high clock either. So like vintage MX Blacks, I can't do like back-to-back days with them.
Yeah. Someone asked how long till Godspeed 75. It says February, but who knows, right? It was supposed to be August, but now it's February. So that's the last time I saw it on their website.
August to February. That's another 6 months?
I don't know. I'm not. No, I have no idea. But yeah, no, I think it is interesting that I've never been a huge whenever I started in keyboards, I was like box whites. Hell yeah, let's go. I think the first ones I had were like the clicky green from Kale, the click jacket ones, and then I was like, let's try these box switches. So I got box whites, and then I was like, okay, box navy build. And then I was like, cool, let's move into something that's not going to burst my eardrums. And I still really love, I eventually landed on Holy Pandas, and then I made Zycos. And I think, with the gasket plate, because I hate the sound of Zelios. I think Zelios sound too plasticky. And there's just not a big fan of it. That's why I made Zycos, to get away from that. I love the feel of them. I think they're some of the best feeling tactile switches, but the sound is just too cheapy sounding. And that's not a stab at Zelio. He made a fantastic feeling switch, just doesn't do it for me for sound. But I don't typically I don't mind, but my wife has had some louder boards next to me all the time, and I'm like, whatever. I work with children, so I'm just good at tuning noises. Noises
so
out
you're
constantly.
A tactile household?
Yeah, I've got my linear boards. If the one board to end it, I'd be grabbing a heavy tactile for sure.
So I have a mistake. There's no egg in bánh xèo. I have to look up. Someone just texted me. I don't want to lead everyone astray. I'm gonna Google it right now. It's made from rice flour, turmeric, coconut cream, along with other ingredients. I don't know. I was tripping out because it's yellow.
You could have fooled me. OZ72 says, Andy's videos helped me get going with lubing. Thanks, mate.
Oh, I'm glad I could help. That's my goal.
Yep. Box Jades. I don't like box Jades. I was never a huge fan of the box Jade element in the Switch, I think. I need my Switch to return fast. So I like heavy. I don't know. Like my favorite linear build is 98 gram creams. Because I want the Switch to return to me like really, really fast. And I think Jade's return is not enough. It doesn't get back fast enough. So that's why I have 74 grams on all my tactiles. And honestly, I could probably go to like 120 grams on linears if I wanted to. I got big sausage finger. You can see them on this cam. I got big, short sausage fingers, so I need.
I got little girl hands, dude. They're great for the sound test videos.
Yeah, that's great, but I also type really goofily. I'm like, whatever, dude. I index that space bar, like, just bam, slap it. Someone, it was actually funny on Saturday. Someone was like, you type really weird. And I was like, I mean, the way I type, whatever I want that's on the keyboard to show up on the screen, it shows up.
Yeah.
Haters gonna hate, right?
But what's your WPM with your...
Oh, God, man. I don't know. Like 80 or 90. I've never, like, sat down and really tried. I'm not a fast typer. Compared to a lot of... granted, we're in a hobby where it's like... 80 or 90 to most humans that type is probably relatively fast, but in this hobby, it's a lot lower on the scale.
Yeah.
But I've never sat down and been like, all right, time to get better at typing.
That's true. I don't get to the point where I'm training, even though I want to. I still do typing tests for fun, though. Do you find yourself doing that?
I used to a lot. Because I think 92 was the best I ever got with, and it was 74 gram Holy Pandas and an Austin.
74 gram Holy Panda.
So I was like, okay, like sweet. I finally broke 90. I can usually hit around 75 if I'm just sitting down. I'm going to do a typing test, but typing tests are also really hard for me because I have terrible sight, and two, I have dyslexia. So reading it, I'm gonna fuck it up like super bad. So,
yeah, because there's no logic to the words.
Yeah, it's even worse if it's just a word and then another word. So
yeah, it's probably your worst nightmare.
So I don't even plug the board in. Whenever I do like a typing test after a stream, I'm like, it worked. I showed you that it worked, but a typing test, I'm just gonna type a bunch of random stuff and start opening up like programs and shit in the middle of the stream.
Yeah, when I do my test, I don't put the window on the screen. So there's a period of time where I was like, do people think I'm just typing gibberish? Like, I could be. No one would ever know.
I have a script. I've always wondered if someone was like ever gonna like slow it down and see, but I have a script. It's really dumb. I think my wife's the only person that's ever heard it because I said it to her once. But it's really dumb, and I just type the exact same thing every single time because it kind of gets all over the board, and it's just kind of there. But I also like when props to Nathan for like always doing the typing tests live. Like he turned it into kind of a running thing, right? But like I would do poorly on that just because I'd be on stream and I'd be like, ooh.
Yeah, if people are watching you, they're like, oh, he's gonna mess up, or they start making bets.
Yeah, I'm like, all right, cool. Like, how low can you go? Every type test is just you typing the opening to the B movie script. I forgot who did it, but I remember someone streamed and they were like, new switches, time to break them in by typing the entire B movie script. And I was like, that's the greatest thing I've ever seen. And I watched for like 5 minutes. I was like, this is top tier. This is top tier. So you got into the hobby so about a year ago, right? Or 2 years ago?
About 1 year ago. It was like the third drop of the KBD 67 Mark II on KBD fans. And as soon as I got in, I had to prep for the first come, first serve. Mm-hmm. Like, they told me, like, you want the KBD 67 Mark II? Sells out in seconds. I was like, oh no. Oh no. And to get that board, because my birthday is, my birthday's on the 31st of October.
Oh, okay.
So I'm a Halloween baby.
There it is.
The drop was a few days prior, but because the KBD fans they run it at like whatever time in the morning.
Mhm.
So it was like 5 a.m. and this was pre-Rona, so we can go out and drink. The night I was meeting all my friends to go out to the bars and drink was the day before the drop.
Oh, like the night before.
So at the birthday party, I'm like telling one, I know I'm drinking right now, but I have to wake up for this drop. I need to buy this keyboard. Like, what? It's a keyboard. Like, how much is it? I don't want to tell you.
It's like, not yet.
So what do you get? I'm like, it's just some metal and a PCB. There's nothing in it.
Does it work right out of the box? No, you have to build it yourself.
And then I just kept reminding myself, and I set like 4 or 5 alarms, took like an Uber home, and then I was like, I'm gonna take a nap because I got home at like 3, and they released at like 4 or 5. I got up, just still a little drunk, and then I just refreshed, did the whole thing. I was able to get it, and then I went back to sleep. And
like,
now I remember that as my first experience with like first come first serve. So right out of the gate, I experienced the lack of supply in this hobby.
Yeah, that was something that I'm fortunate enough that I didn't really have to do, and I really still to this day have not. I got lucky on the Key Colt. A lot of the boards that I own are private buys or after, like my Singos aftermarket. I designed a board, so that obviously I have that one. 2 private buys, a Key Colt. I mean, I had my Fiel and Austin. I was able to get in those pretty easily. The Fiel was kind of like, it was open. It was the round 4. I don't have this board anymore, but that was one that was kind of like they just opened it for one day, and I really like that style. Kind of limits you some, but obviously, you know, like if Kanekys did that with Satisfaction, that might be bad because if you're only planning like 1,400 and like 5,000 people order, you might be in trouble.
Yeah.
But yeah, you know, when I started, it was you just order stuff on KBD Fans. It was easy, and it was like, oh, TX Keyboards has some boards up, so might as well just hit them up and or order it offline. So I just never really had the whole like go thing, and then now that it's here, I'm kind of like, oh, I'm a little worried.
Yeah. I remember watching Batsy Tech or Random Frank P, somebody that was a tech YouTuber, because that's who I watched. They were explaining keyboards and saying like, oh, you can buy, I think it was Batsy Tech, said, oh, you just go to KBD Fans and they have things in stock, and you can just buy your parts, and you'll get them, and then you can build them. It takes a while because from China, that was the only concern. And at the time of me buying the KVD 67, the Tofus were in stock, and like the KVD 75, and they had products in stock. I still think they do now, like the less popular ones, and they have so much supply.
I wouldn't be
But
surprised.
But there was a period of time in like March where their site was cleaned out. March and April, when everything hit its peak.
Oh yeah,
everything was gone.
it was there was nothing. I don't, you know, I'm looking KBD Fans right now. Tofu 65 acrylic, Tofu acrylic, and just the 60. Looks like they might have some. Yeah, they have a couple different Tofus, which is great. I think that's a board that like is perfect to kind of show someone like, hey, like you want a 60%, 65%. Here's a Tofu. It's inexpensive, easy to build, easy to throw together.
Yeah.
Not going to break the. I mean, it's still going to be more expensive than, say, you know, a box board. Even a nice box board, it's still going to run you a little bit more, but you're going to customize it. That's the best part. So, yeah, trying to.
The ironic thing was people hired me to build those a lot.
Yeah. I mean, so like we get sent that. You know, people ask like, "Do you build Tofus?" I build whatever the hell keyboard you want me to build. Just not a hand wired.
It just felt like I was robbing them of the experience.
It brings an interesting question of like, yes, it's I get, you know, I built a board for someone recently. He's like, I can build boards, but if I'm getting a very nice board, I'd rather have built by someone who's built a lot of boards, and I get that, right?
Yeah.
I get I built my own, and it's kind of jacked up. Maybe I had to, you know, maybe I messed a pad up or something, or it's got to be goofy. If I'm spending a lot of nice money on this board, I don't mind spending a little bit more or finding someone who's willing to build it. Because honestly, a lot of people are going to be willing to build these boards. Like, there's no shortage of builders out there.
Mm-hmm.
But I think there's something. It goes to show, like someone like Nathan Kim, the kind of downside to this is he's got a lot of reach, right? But then his build services are a little bit expensive. So then people go, oh, well, now I have to figure out how to do it, because if he builds it for this one, then kind of everybody must do it. And I'm like, doesn't have to be. And then, well, I'm not trying to shame him. Get your money, get yourself paid. Like not. There's no harm in having people pay you for your work. It does bring that stigma of like, well, now I have to potentially do this myself, and which could be a good thing. That can lead you to building a board. You and I are in this hobby because we love building keyboards and talking about them. But yeah, when it's something small, it's kind of like, I'll spend as much time as I would building this board as I would with you, like talking you through how to do it.
Yep.
Because it's just fun. But if you don't want to mess up your key cult, I get it.
Yep. The key code's where I understand, because it's easy to acquire if you just get lucky with the raffle, and you're like, oh my god, this can be sold for $2,000. I don't want to scratch it. I don't want to break it. I don't want to do anything bad with it.
Yeah. And I mean, same goes with like an iron or a Bauer or all these nicer boards where it's like, I don't, and I get it, but I'm sure you walk people through at least every couple streams, and you just always, this is how I loop steps. This is how I, put this. I do this when I'm building, because it's all about teaching people to build. Because when I started, I just wanted to learn how to do it. I had a board built by 001 Anthony, and I remember getting that and being like, okay, this is how you build a keyboard. Now that I've got the blueprint in front of me, I can build other things and compare it. And that's another good thing, where it might be like, hey, you and I have built, dozens and dozens, if not hundreds of boards. So I could see the other side to that of, I want to see how someone who's built a lot of boards with a lot of experience builds it, and then now I know what to look for.
Yeah, but you have all the build stream VODs. That was the interesting thing prior to coming into this hobby. Other hobbies, there's not really a full 4-hour video of someone doing something.
Yeah.
It's usually like some kind of tutorial cut down, and I'd always be yearning for the steps in between. But here, there's literally an entire walkthrough.
So SM Keyboards, thank you for the 11 months tier 1 sub. I want to show off the rainbow board I built. Unfortunately he couldn't. Let me grab it real quick.
What's up, SM?
Ugh, just punched myself in the face with my headphones. So guys, shout out to SM Keyboards. This is not paid. I've been listening to this, typing on it from time to time. This is a rainbow themed SM Keyboards, and this thing is dope. This thing is so much fun to type on. It sounds really good. Nice holy pandas and a brass plate. So shout out to SM Keyboards. Not sponsored. Not we paid for this keyboard. So I don't know. I don't know how many people he's willing to do the rainbow one for, but it's a really cool build, and I have another SM board right here. So, and that's the other thing too. You don't need to get started with a key cult. I think a lot of people, our hobby is garnering the attention of hype beasts left and right. Yeah. And I don't know how to feel about it. What about you?
I don't mind hypebeasts coming in, but with that comes the demand that fuels botters, and it fuels people coming in just to mess with this delicate ecosystem of low supply and just artificially increasing prices for everyone involved. Like, I don't want to have people spend thousands of dollars per keyboard, because most people cannot afford thousands of dollars on keyboards.
I can't. But I wouldn't be in this hobby if a keyboard was $1,000.
Yeah, and now like we see all these boards that they get all bought up by the botters, and people are coming in just to. When something is hype, I have an issue with it, because you end up buying something to fill this like void, and like if I buy this expensive thing, I'm going to be popular. People are going to like me. But that's not true. It's so fleeting.
Yeah.
You're going to get this key cult, and if you go start with a key cult, you've gimped your enjoyment of the hobby.
It's over.
Yeah, it's like the Keycolt. There's not much better than the Keycolt. So if you get that as your first board, like you missed all the journey that was so fun, like figuring out a tofu, screwing around with like a discipline, building a macro pad. If you just get the Keycolt and you're like, oh, what's next? I'm like, well, the next thing is gonna cost more than your real raffle ticket for the Keycolt.
It's gonna cost more, or you're just not gonna be as pleased with it, or
No.
you're gonna wind up realizing the worst thing you're gonna realize. Now, granted, you'll make money, but you'll realize maybe you don't like a Keycolt, right? You have to trying different mounting. I would love if there was a board. I forgot what the name of this board was, but it was a 60, the G60, I think is what it's called, where it had the option of sandwich mount and top mount. And I kind of wish someone made a board. It would have to be inexpensive, but also expensive because it would be hard to do. Of doing something like sandwich mount, top mount, gasket mount, tray mount. You could like do it all in one board.
Oh, the Constellation's close.
Yeah.
It has 3 of them.
Mm-hmm.
But that one's been hyped up too.
Yeah, and so it's tough because they are different. They are fundamentally different. With top mount, sandwich mount, tray mount, gasket mount, those are going to be the main 4 really that you see. And even and tray mount, you're not even going to see that much. If you want a tray mount board, get a tofu. If you want a really nice tray mount board, get a fiel. Like that's can't really say anything else past that. But
there's no mid-tier tray mount.
Yeah. But it's tough because I went through a Tada and then a Tina. If people remember what the Tina was, that was like a tofu before a tofu was a tofu. I actually like the Tina more than the tofu because it looked cool. And they had like a Tina V2 announcement. And I was like, oh my God, it's back. And then it just never came out. Yeah, Tina with the radiator fins. Tina was a cool board. I had my TX60, which is really what made me fall in love with keyboards. And that's what the Baka 60 that was the starting blueprint, was let's take a TX60 and improve it. And then just trying all these different boards. And then, it's like I've been in the hobby for... God, what? Almost 3 years, and I didn't get a Keycolt until a couple months ago. It was just, it's like, I knew I wanted a gasket, but in the 60% gasket line, there really wasn't anything other than a Keycolt, and I wasn't going to go drop a crap ton of money. I just kind of had to luck out on the raffle. And get it that way. But there's 60% gasket mount boards. There's not a lot of them running around, sadly.
No.
Got the JO2, which was expensive. I got the offer. Jay was very nice, and something that I think a lot of people know but don't know, but whatever, is like if you design a board, you can sell it to whoever you want, right? You don't have to, there are friends and family things that happen. But that's because if you design a board, you can sell it to whoever the hell you want. So yeah, there are people that got a Baka or a Squid that were like, hey, can I get one? I'm like, yeah, because you're a good friend, and I'm going to sell one to you. Granted, that was not as hyped of a board as maybe a JO2, but I offered him a Baka. He offered me a JO2. Couldn't afford a JO2 at the time. I was like, I'd love to try one for like a few weeks maybe, but, that's up to you. But outside of that, I mean, you had the Gasket 00 or the GS, the Gooskit, I think is what it's nicknamed.
Yeah.
And then the Polaris, but I didn't like the Polaris for the fact that it had a proprietary PCB.
Yeah, that PCB is the roughest thing for Polaris owners. They're selling. It's on secondhand market for like $100.
A PCB just for $100?
Yes.
Jesus.
Yeah. For the affordable board.
Yeah. And Jay does do great stuff. Honestly, the JL1, that's a board. I don't like the layout. It's too big. It's just like, it's too big for what you get. And it's a board that you literally have to like, if you want to do anything, if you want to work on it at all, it's like a pain in the ass to put back together.
Which board is this?
The JL1.
Oh, okay.
It's like 65%, but it's got a left column. But it's also huge. But yeah, anytime you're like, oh, cool, the PCB has a tiny little mess up or something here. Yeah, cool. Let me take the whole board apart. and then I have to realign the gaskets and then like set it in, and it's just I'm like, this is too much.
Yeah, I built the JO2 for my friend, and that redefines the word gasket or
Yeah.
like isolation. It didn't work the first time, unfortunately, for me. I think for Bueno it worked the first time for him. But I'm just like trying to squeeze a little rubber, just like get it into
just like-
place.
And then you're like, you're all right, I'm gonna put it up. Now I gotta restart over. Like, it's
Yeah,
it's
the switches would push it up out of the case
yeah.
or the top case, and I was like, oh well, great, now I gotta start over. And
Once
someone said you can cut out the gasket, like everywhere but the corners. I'm like, I'm not gonna take this J board and just destroy it by taking some scissors to it.
So that's really funny because I was talking, I watched Apiary build a JO1. It was right before I had to build it. Then like the night before, I'm like, I need to do some research. Like, this is a board. If you're a beginner, don't buy a JO1, JO2. Like, sorry, Jay, not trying to down you. Don't buy a JO1 or JO2 if it's like, I wouldn't even do it on your 5th board because it is a very, very difficult build. So I'm hitting him up, and then finally I finally got Jay, and I'm like, cool. And he's walking me through how to do it. He's like, yeah, you just cut that. And I'm like, well, now I got to hit up the guy that owns this board. And he's like, yeah, go for it. But I'm like, I'm not about to hack into these gaskets.
Yeah.
So
along the difficulty of the difficult boards, Matrix is another difficult board.
I've never had a chance to build one.
One of the hardest parts is you have to solder in the cable.
Okay, that's not. I've done that with so the G60 has one that looked like that. It was a TKL. I can't remember the name of it. I can just look it up. I built it. Yeah, you had to solder in the cable, and it was.
Yeah.
But
it has all these little parts.
Yeah, I've built a cable before. Like I built multiple cables before.
Oh,
so
really?
so that's. That doesn't. I have for the amount of things that I am bad at, I actually have relatively steady hands. So building cables is just really easy for me.
The first time I've ever heard anyone say that.
Yeah, well, I mean, I have Zap cables to thank for that. He walked me through it step by step, and then once I got it, it was one of those things where I'm like, this clicked, right? This can't not make sense on how to build this now. But I am very well aware that I am one of the lucky ones because I've seen a lot of people. I watch build streams, and I've seen people just be like, I don't know what the fuck I'm doing. I'm like, I'm sorry.
You have to understand soldering thoroughly to be able to solder in a cable.
And I'm not even that good at soldering. It's something about holding the wires.
Yeah.
Like, you have to hold them in a weird place, and for whatever reason, I can do that really well.
I was watching a video on how to build an XLR cable, and they had a clamp on the desk. They literally just had something holding the cable, and they had both hands to work on it. I was like, that makes it so much easier.
Clamps are the greatest thing. I've got like 6 of these. These are like $10, guys.
Yeah.
People, I use this for my headphone stand, or as a headphone hanging stand, and it's great.
Oh, nice. I bought one because I'm a dummy. I should have just bought a $2 little clip.
Yeah, and these are like 10 for like 6 of them. And I was like, I've got a couple hanging in the closet. I'm like, they work great for.
Does that orange piece fall off for you?
I haven't. They're pretty.
Oh, I got some cheap Amazon ones. That little flat piece just flies off.
Oh, well, maybe I got a decent one. I don't know, because I got these off Amazon, but I don't know what brand they are. Osiris sent them to me, and he was like, these are good to just kind of have in your arsenal. I was like, all right, sweet, let's do it.
Yeah.
So I'm still trying to find this board. What's the name of it? I remember building it because it had... No, it's further down. Maybe it's up. It was meant to be a vintage board. So it had the kind of like the indicator lights where the top right switches would be.
Mm-hmm.
And you can like put a little thing there that's where the lights would be. And I built it with the switches there. And so I remember when I was like, all right, I'm done. I put it in, and I was like, what the fuck? Why is this plate not going on correctly? And it was just sitting there, I'm like about to snap the board in half. I'm like, oh, hey, maybe I should set the J80.
Oh, okay.
The J80.
It's like forehead board?
Yeah, it's got. Oh man, this is back when I did the over the shoulder angle.
That was my first streams too. Just because I'm not gonna buy a C stand or some kind of specialty mount. I might end up sucking at streaming, you know.
Yeah.
I want
So
to be able to back out. I
yeah,
need to exit
the
plan.
exit strategy. I get it. So, but yeah, I mean, once we got the overhead, and we were like, okay, this is why people do it because it looks 10 times better. So, so you've grown your stream, pretty kind of fast and ferocious, like really fast. I mean, you were. When did you start streaming?
I think around February, like late February, mid-February, somewhere around there. It was my first stream, and it was just someone from KD fans. They saw my YouTube videos. 'Cause I started keyboard YouTube videos around. I think I posted my first video before New Year's.
Mm-hmm.
I had a sound test that I had unlisted. I was showing some friends like, hey, this is the board. This is it with alpacas. This is it with T1s. I just had an unlisted video. And I was like, screw it. I'll just change the, put a title on there, write a description, make it live. Then I committed to making sound test videos. And I did like reviews too of like pre-builts, just because that's what I was familiar with as a tech YouTuber.
Yeah.
I've seen Duckies, I've seen Pro 2s, and I think the other one was a Vortex Poker. And started streaming in February, just because I bought a cam link. I bought 2 cam links because I wanted to be a Smash streamer. I want to have the green screen, I want to have the whole thing. I streamed a few times and I was like, I am boring as hell on playing games. So I had it in my drawer. I put it aside. And in February, things were starting to get out of stock. I think the lockdown started in March when everything disappeared. So I was lucky that I had like a green screen, which I ended up not using regularly. But I had the cam links and I have these cameras, like this camera right here, for my video business and my YouTube. So I didn't have to really buy anything.
Yeah.
I had lights. I bought a mic just because the mics I use for YouTube are like shotgun mics and not very good for this kind of use.
They're not the best for keyboards.
No, not for indoor. But I do use it for sound tests because I found that it was the most natural sounding mic. I started in February and then I just started chasing for partner right away. I was like, after the first few streams, because I was being fed from my YouTube channel, which is key to getting a Twitch audience, I didn't really ever experience 0 viewers, which a lot of like gamers deal with for a long time.
Yeah.
So I was really lucky in that regard. So all I had to do was show up and continue to make these guide videos I was doing on YouTube and hanging out on the Discord, which I was going to do anyway. We weren't going outside.
Yeah.
And it all just like fed people to my Twitch.
Yeah. And that's, whenever Mex on Deck started, we initially were just straight to YouTube. I didn't even want to stream. Osiris and Quakeums had to talk me into streaming. And I said, hey, if you want, you're going to put a lot of time and effort into this. If you want to have any sort of kickback or make some of the money back that you're spending on this channel, like Twitch is going to be the best way to be able to do that. And so, yeah, when we had been up we'd probably had eight or 10 videos up. And honestly, I would recommend anybody who's about to start streaming, if you're doing content, even just a time lapse of a build, having something that you can send someone while you're streaming, because it's both, right? You have your YouTube where you can grow an audience on YouTube, and then you bring that audience to Twitch, and then people will find you on Twitch, and then you can send them to YouTube. So it helps. So yeah, we started with like 15, which I mean, that's not anything crazy, but compared to a lot of other people on Twitch, especially games on Twitch, yeah, that's 10. That's literally, I mean, the amount. Scroll down on any popular game, and after you get about 3 scrolls in, no one's above 10 viewers.
Yeah.
So,
it's difficult for people to commit to that though. They're like, streaming is already so much work. I have to do YouTube too. I have to make a Discord. I have to do all this stuff. I'm like, can't search people on Twitch.
Yep. How bad do you want it?
Yeah.
So, and it's, I mean, we used to do, we were very focused on YouTube, and then Twitch was just kind of an extra outlet. And then we just kind of, eventually we just switched because it was like, oh, people like us more on Twitch now than they like us on YouTube. And we were doing the weekly episodes, and we were like, why don't we just talk to people about this too? Because then other people can bring up ideas, and that's just the two of us. So I lurk hard on sound tests. I know that feeling. I know that feeling. So, but yeah, and then you kind of hit streaming at like almost the perfect time.
I saw it coming. When I got into the hobby, I was like, okay, if I want to buy keyboards, I need to fund it somehow.
Yeah.
So I started making keyboard content because I knew YouTube ads make a little bit of money. So just make these sound tests. I thought it was gonna fail at first. The sound test, the algorithm is not gonna favor a 1-minute video, right? Because they can't put ads on it.
Yeah.
But somehow I was growing ever so slightly on like a linear path. It just kept growing and growing and growing. The views went up, the subs went up, and a sound test is pretty easy to do. You just put a camera, a mic, record a minute, cut out the part where you're putting your hand on the, like sitting down and stuff, and cut it off when you finish typing. Put it up with a thumbnail and a description. You're good to go. Versus like
and
a tech
tags,
YouTube video.
And tags, yeah.
On tags, yeah. Just list the board, the switches, sound tests. But that was how I got most of my viewers onto Twitch. And the hard thing was just being consistent.
Mm-hmm.
Going on, the partner requirement is 3 days a week, 2 hours, a little bit more than 2 hours each day. So if you think about that, that's 6 hours live.
Yep.
But you're going to have an hour prep each time and an hour post, and like figuring out how to upgrade your stream, or talking with your Discord, or like anything. And then for keyboard build streamers, dude, you have to prep the board.
Yeah, you have to prep the board, build, lube. If you're lubing switches, that's more time, and camera setup, and when we stream during the day now on Saturdays, so it might drastically change just how light it is outside, right? Or if it's cloudy, I now have to make adjustments for that, or because I hate lights. I hate lighting. Lighting is.
How hot is your light right now? Do you feel a little warm?
I mean, it's about 100, 120 degrees, right? I'm just baking it now. I just don't like light. I have blue eyes, and my eyes are very sensitive to light, so I'm like,
is that really a thing?
Yeah.
Lighter eyes are
a lot more sensitive to light. Maybe that's what I've been told, right? I think that I'm sure there is like a minuscule amount of data that's like, yeah, that makes sense, because you just don't, you're not, it's just kind of all there, but I don't know. Brown eyes have more melanin, which helps protect your eyeballs. So there it is.
Perfect.
I don't have brown eyes, so I cannot protect my eyeballs, apparently. So I did just switch to like blue light glasses. I have like a couple different pairs of glasses now that are blue light filtering, which is nice, but the lights are just rough on my eyes all the time. So I've never been a fan of that. But all those are things that go into, it's like, on a Saturday, if I'm starting at 2, I'm usually setting it up at like 10 or 11, right, to make sure I'm like, I have plenty of time to get it all set up, and then I have to make more adjustments because the sun moves, and then I'm like, okay, well, now I have to change the ISO settings and all that and make sure everything is good to go by the time that I'm changing that midstream. And then post-stream, you have to update your videos, and then there's all these terms of services that you don't want to break on either YouTube or Twitch, and it's a lot. I mean, it's a part-time job.
Yep. And I mean, it's fun to get boards to build as a builder, but after I do 3 boards a week on stream, and sometimes I do 3 more off stream, it definitely is just work.
Yeah.
Like, I don't really have time to enjoy this. Like, it takes me a while to get to my own personal boards that I wanted with the switches I like and the keycaps I like. It honestly ruins the hobby a bit for anyone who's trying to start. You don't appreciate boards as much if anything and everything will come through your door.
Yeah.
Like, there's no anticipation.
Well, it's oversaturated, right? You're like, another board, and like, boards are cool, but I find myself where I'm like, oh, this is like, this board's super duper hype. I'm like, yeah, it's a keyboard. It sounds bad. It sounds ungrateful, but like, it's.
Yeah.
I mean, if you're think like, F1 and NASCAR drivers, I'm sure, don't get in their cars when they get home and they're like, this is the greatest car ever, I can't wait. It's like, no, it's when you do something repeatedly over and over and over, things kind of blend together.
Yeah. And for me, I found that I have more fun streaming than actually building.
Mm-hmm.
Like for me, I like engaging with people, making jokes, having little inside jokes, or just acting out something. And that's why I started YouTube as a vlogger.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that I'm come full circle. Instead of entertaining an audience I never interact with, at least on Twitch, it's kind of live-ish.
Yeah.
And I'm talking to people and I'm answering their questions. There's a little bit of more immediate feedback, which is a really nice thing compared to putting a video out and just hoping that the comments aren't nasty. Like,
yeah. I should respond to our comments more, but I'm like, every time I'm like, okay, today's the day I'm gonna sit down and I'm gonna look at these comments, and then it'll be someone like talking shit, and I'm like, that was 3 weeks ago. I'm not gonna respond to them now. And then it was someone that's like, man, thanks, I'm so excited for this build. I'm like, that was a week and a half ago. If I say like, cool, like, you know that, I'm like, I it's so weird responding to people, even if it was 20 minutes ago. Like, I have a hard, like, even on Instagram, I have a hard time because it's not that immediate reaction. It's just, it's like, I have too much time to think. And then I'm like, are they going to think I sound stupid? Chris Card asks, what do you think of the Pandora 60? I'll have to remember. I know I've seen it.
That's that board with all the components of everything I've ever seen put into one, right?
I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is... I think this is the one that a lot of people accused.
It went through a few revisions.
Yeah.
It has the rear knob, has like the exposed bottom. You can see the PCB.
Yeah. I mean, it's cool.
It was expensive, I think, when it ran.
It's cool. It to me, it's a cross between, it's like they took a Key Colt, a J02, an E6, an E6 or 625 or whatever it's called, 6.5 V2, and the Pearl. The Pearl's a throwback, and just smash them into a keyboard together. I mean, it's cool, but not for me. I'd personally, the aesthetic of it, I'm like, it doesn't do anything for me.
No, like I would have been interested in it, but one, the price, and two, that exposed bottom, considering like I have a dog, dog shed, and it's dusty, and I don't vacuum as much as I should. It was gonna cause issues.
That, and I think the biggest problem I have is that is a cheese plate. Good Lord. So I built the Baka with, I hated the cheese plate on the TX board.
Yeah, my dog's here. I'm trying to keep him quiet.
He's wanting to chat. I get it. Thank you, CF Canner. So the TX60, I really loved it, but I hated the plate. The plate was always my biggest gripe, and I was like, I want to make a TX6. I want to make a TX60. I want to change the look of it, and I want to have a fixed plate. And so the Baka has, the only thing you can change on the Baka is the caps lock. Now the Squid, I made some more revisions to open it back up, but I forced people into split backspace because I'm like, dude, fuck the ISO enter where the backspace is like, your split backspace now is like floating. Like,
yeah, that was an issue for me for one of the KBD fans boards. That ISO enter was manufactured a little bit poorly.
Mm-hmm.
I forgot what the board was. It was an 1800 layout, I think. It was a KBD fans 1800 layout.
The KBD 19X.
Yes, that was it. The switch wouldn't sit. Like, it would sit tilted.
Mm-hmm.
So I was like, I'm doing this live in the stream. They're like, cut off that little piece of the ISO enter. I cut it off, still didn't fit. So I ended up grinding away the entire plate in that area, and the switch became that key became plateless. That was the only way for it to work.
I had to do that with the TR60. I don't know if anyone remembers the TR60. It was a group buy specifically through Geekhack. And it was a cool, it was a integrated plate, 60%, very, very slim bezels. I got it in HHKB. I wish I didn't. I wish I had gotten it in full, because I don't really like HHKB, and I discovered that after the fact. I need my control for games. I like crouching, right?
Yeah.
And I remember they were like, yeah, the stab wire like doesn't fit on this specific, if you're using this shift key. If you're using a 2U shift key or the 2U shift left shift, it's not gonna, it'll work. But if you're using a 2.25 shift key, like everybody else does, then you're gonna have to like adjust the plate. So I'm sitting there with a freaking with a routing, like a little routing tool, just grinding away at this thing until it.
I did that with the HJ75.
Yeah, where you're just like, well, and then I wound up selling it later, and I showed a lot of pictures because I was like, hey man, I want you to know, like, I did this to get it to work.
At least you had a tool. I filed that down.
Oh jeez.
Like I put it between my legs to hold it in place because I needed leverage. I'm over like a cardboard box because I don't want, like, it was acrylic, so it wasn't that hard. I didn't want the filings everywhere though.
Yeah.
So I spent like 2 hours just pretty much. And it had a little diamond file. I got it from Home Depot. It was horrible, and it happened. That was like that way for all the boards. If you didn't do that, you couldn't fit a screw and stab. So you had to do that for all the stab holes.
Oh wow, that's not fun.
It was a miscommunication from Keen for the HJ75.
Well, you live and learn, right? Sometimes, but sometimes those boards are the best, right? Because it's like you put a lot of work into it. And when you're done, you're like, like we were talking before stream. We were talking about the through hole soldering boards, and they suck so much because they just take forever. And I'm not saying they suck in the sense of a completed board sucks, because the completed board actually is pretty cool. They managed to sound really, really good, but boy howdy, that is just work.
It just takes like 2 or 3 times as long as a regular board. You commit a whole afternoon to it.
Yeah, or a few days. We were talking.
You do part.
We were talking about like 2 weeks ago, I think, where it was like, do the soldering of just the diodes and then walk away.
Yeah.
And then come back for the resistors and then walk away and then do the rest of the build. Like, if you just sit there, because I don't know, DD Decline.
Yeah.
He and Keeb Noob, our moderator, they're doing a barleycorn race from start to finish. So the barleycorn's the 1800, the F-Rollless 1800 from Novel Keys.
Okay.
So it's
I've seen it.
So, and they're doing a race. And I was like, good luck, have fun. Not gonna participate. I'll watch. I'll chime in every hour because that's like 7 hours.
It's almost like whoever takes the best time to breaks will win. Yeah. Because you're gonna get frustrated. Like, imagine you go all the way through and one of your resistors are in the wrong spot or something.
Yeah. And you're just like, you gotta go back.
You can't even really identify it after it's already on the board.
Mm-hmm.
That's my worst nightmare with the through holes. Like, what if I just put the wrong thing in the wrong hole, and then I solder it, I clip it, and then that's it.
Yeah, it's over. What I hated the most is, like, I went on my patio to clip the wires. When you solder, I laid it flat. I didn't cut it. I laid it flat, so it was kind of annoying. They're all sticking straight up. But I soldered them all in, and then I went outside and I clipped the rest of them, and they just went everywhere, all over me, all over the trash can, all over the floor, everywhere. And I was just finding that. I wound up stepping on one that just went straight into my foot, and like, just
and I do it at my desk, so there's crevices in your desk setup. Yeah, and they just end up in all those crevices. Yeah. I think the worst thing that happened. I dropped a bag of springs.
Ooh.
And of course they ricocheted everywhere. Yeah. A few ended up in my like fan. And they would just fly out when I move something. And
that's
at least those don't hurt. But
we have
I lost most of the springs.
We have like a little knockoff Roomba. And every now and then, you have every like 5 or 6 times you run it, you kind of have to flip it upside down and get all the crap out of the brushes and stuff. And almost every time without fail, I find a spring.
Like, do you find films too? Oh, wait,
I don't film.
You don't find films.
I don't film. So yeah, I'm good. I don't film.
I find films everywhere. I'll find them in my shower. I'm like, how did you get here?
Yeah,
it's far away from my desk.
I'm fortunate enough that I don't have to deal with the films, but I found it wasn't until we redid this room a couple months ago, and it wasn't until then that I got rid of all those metal pieces. Because we took everything out, and this room's a lot more empty. It's angled like the camera is literally like at a super angle just to capture right here. Because up to like right here where this door is only like a third of that wall. I mean, that's where the other room is in the wall. So there's a lot of room here, and it's like empty in here now, which I love. But pegboard shelf is so clean. Thank you. I'll talk about that in a second. But I was able to get all this stuff out, and then I was like, let's vacuum for like the first time in a few months. Like actually vacuum and get everywhere.
Like
so,
behind the furniture.
Yeah. It's funny you brought up the green screen, because in streaming I feel like I don't like people that have a green screen on them. I feel like when you spend a little more time creating a little setup, it looks nicer, it looks neater. Because Osiris and I talked about doing the green screen. I was like, it'd be fun, it'd be like, but it's like gimmicky, right?
There's a purpose to it. You can't do it for everything, I don't think. Especially if you're a builder. Having a floating head for a builder is a little weird.
It'd be funny like once.
Yeah.
And it would be only funny if you did like the full, where it's like just your face. Just like your face floating.
You can move it around.
Yeah, you can just, this just goes around.
I've been getting into setups recently to just kind of optimize getting my mic and my camera, my light, everything set up in a manner that I don't have to turn down ever. So I watched this girl's gaming room, game stream room setup, and she uses a green screen. She said she had a purpose for it. She said when she's playing a game where the visuals of the game are more important than seeing her, she'll put the green screen up, and then it'll be like an RPG where she's like much smaller. And I was like, oh, that makes sense.
Yeah.
But in terms of, and setting up a green screen is horrible because it's going to be behind you. It's going to make you feel claustrophobic. So I considered it when I started because I had a freaking mirror behind me when I started. It was the worst. We were like, oh, that's a mirror there? I'm like, yeah.
I don't know. Don't know why. But
it was an old house. The landlord's a little weird, a little funky. So I really wanted to cover that up. But I didn't like being like pushed into my desk with something behind me, like a wall. Like some people, they stream up against a wall, like Tim the Hatman. Tim the Tatman, not the Hatman.
Yeah, the Hatman.
He's up against a wall. I'm like, I don't know what can do that. I know the aesthetics of your monitor facing away from the wall, no one can see where you're looking at. It's cool, but like I don't want to be compressed into that little area.
So my last setup. So this, I actually sat right here, facing that way. And I was like, if I backed up too much, I was against the wall. But then I was like, I have this nice camera, and it's far away. I wish I had like a 24 mil because it would just be a little bit closer. Because I love the kind of, well, once my face goes away, come on. I love the bokeh you get when it's like that much closer, right? But I have my desk is it's kind of far away, and I'm like, I have these. I get a nice, all that blur, man, all that blur. But I have a nice camera. I have a nice lens. I bought the lens specifically for this. Like, why would I, if I'm flat against a wall, it's just not going to look as nice.
Yeah, you don't get that depth. That's why it's smart that you did the corner. That's the easiest way to do depth in like a really small bedroom type or office type situation. It's one of the tricks, which I learned recently. So you're in a good spot. I have a flat wall, and for me, I can't do the blur. I switched lenses, like I dressed up for this interview, but normally I use a wide lens. For dancing.
Yeah, exactly. I was gonna say we've the first time I heard of you, we were like, hey, we're gonna raid someone. Someone was like, hey, check out Andy Nguyen. I was like, oh, we'll check this guy out. Someone goes, make him dance. I was like, what the fuck did you just say?
It's weird. It's weird. I know. It's weird.
So, chat, if you want to get him to dance, just tell him to dance, chat.
I made it weirder. You have to gift subs, or I have to hit a certain milestone for subs for dance. It used to be every sub I would dance. That quickly got out of hand because I realized the interaction between chat and streamer. Chat's main goal is to fuck with the streamer.
Oh yeah, hands down.
So when I said dance every sub, holy hell. I collapsed that stream. I was like, Chad, I'm gonna owe you a few. I literally can't breathe anymore, and I upped it to 5, and then I upped it to 10 because every time I upped it, people would just start throwing subs just
cause.
mess with me.
Just say fuck it.
And then I have to tell my fiance that I went on stream for 3 hours and I danced for people who gave me money, and then it just sounds really, really weird.
Yeah, definitely. Fun, awkward conversation. I love it. I was talking to I don't know if you've gotten a chance to watch Basic Builds. She's a fantastic streamer. And we were talking, and she was like, "Yeah, I'm about to do like my first like 20. I think it was a subathon that she was going to cap at like 24 hours." And I was like, "Whatever you do, understand that whatever goal you set, you're going to think that goal is impossible. But this community, which just shows how awesome this community is." But I said, I still am mad, and maybe on this next summer we'll do it where I'll actually get my hair dye. I'll bleach my hair first and then dye it. But I was like, I'll dye my hair if we hit this much. And I told Osiris, I was like, what should we do? Should we do this much? And he was like, no, let's go higher. I was like, all right, I doubt we'll hit it. We hit it in like 5 hours. People were like, let's fucking go. And I was like, all right, well, this kind of throws a wrench in the rest of the day, but it's that's the fact that it's like, oh no, let's fuck with him. And then I think Osiris like had to shave like a handlebar mustache or something like that. So it was real goofy.
And Kimchi Jody Boy, he was supposed to dye his hair too. So it's really interesting how those happen. And my biggest stream the other night was an accidental stream where I challenged someone, if you gift me this many subs, I'll start drinking alcohol. It was Mao Tai, which was essentially Chinese gasoline. It smelled like gasoline. Somewhere along the line, I ended up with hundreds of subs, and I finished the handle, and I was like, what the? And I was like, I need to stop the stream now. And then I immediately went to the restroom.
Yeah.
But that entire period was just people like messing with me, trying to get me to.
It's entertainment at that point. It's not, you're not.
Yeah.
The stream is there to facilitate the conversation.
Yep.
The build is there to facilitate the conversation. The build is the least important part. If you're new to streaming, or if you're streaming and you're trying to get the hang of it, the build is not. It does not matter.
No.
It's there, and on top of that, don't be afraid to mess up, because of two things. One, people love when you mess up.
Yeah.
Because they think it's funny. Laugh with them. Don't take it to I kind of have a running joke where I drop something every single stream. I'll drop a stab into the lube jar. I'll drop a bunch of shit on the floor. I haven't damaged anything, luckily, but it's usually like a switch, or I'll just drop it and then it'll just like fly behind me or something. But and then two, it's important to mess up, because it's important for people who are seasoned builders to mess up and then go, hey, it happens to everybody.
Yeah. Because it feels a little daunting to build a keyboard. Like, if I do something, it's going to be permanently damaged and broken forever. It's highly unlikely, unless you took like a power, or like some kind of a generator, and you plugged it. Yeah, you plugged your keyboard into it. Then you could.
And even then, you're like, cool, just get another PCB. Like, most PCBs, the orange 75 notwithstanding, most PCBs you can replace or find another one, or you're able to figure bridge it or whatever, and get it working. Like, unless you like straight up broke the PCB into pieces, which would be really hard to do, I think you'd be okay.
Yeah. That's what I try to tell people. Some people inquire about hotspot builds, and I tell them, hey, I've built this on stream. There's videos online. You can literally just follow step by step, but it's still scary. And admittedly, my first build with the KBD67 Mark II, it was scary. I'm like, I've never taken apart a custom keyboard and then built it. I know that most electronics, you unscrew it and then you see the inside, but usually I just clean something and I close it back up.
Yeah.
That's as far as like the modifications go. I'm cleaning out crumbs or something for a keyboard. But in terms of like putting switches in and putting stabs in and then lubing them, clipping them and all that, I was super scared, and I didn't even know where the screws went. So I understand it, but at the same time, people need to just try it, and it's not that hard.
It's
after
quite,
you get over the big hump.
It's quite easy once you realize how easy it is to solder. it's just smooth sailing at that point.
Yeah. As long as you don't turn it up to the maximum temperature, you're probably gonna be fine.
And even then, you're not gonna like ruin it. I wouldn't do it. I wouldn't go above 700. Yeah. Learn to weld, and then soldering looks super easy. There you go. Yeah, that's fair. Guys, if you have questions for us, hit @Mex on deck and then ask it, because I am oftentimes visually impaired. But if you have questions for Mr. Andy Nguyen here or myself, please, once again, for those who have joined, Osiris was not feeling well literally about 10 minutes before we started the call. Here, literally at like 7:30, 7:35. He was like, I'm not going to be able to make it. So sorry. He will still be streaming Wednesday. We will announce it now. The Vitkus Strika. I might be saying that right. But anyway, Blind Assassin. It's his. It's kind of his step into the higher end. I think I'm saying that correctly. But yeah, that build will be on Saturday at 2 p.m. How do you pronounce your name, Mr. Nguyen?
In Vietnamese, it's Wing, which is where the running joke of Wing Gang comes from, which is also me kind of accepting the fact that at one point in my life, my coworkers called me Wang, even though I told them it's not Wang, because that's like a Chinese last name, and it was semi-racist, but I'm just leaning into the mockery and just making it my branding. But in like an Americanized way of saying it, or Romanized way of saying it, I say Nguyen, but I've had Vietnamese people tell me I'm saying my own name wrong, which I don't know. I live in California. This is how it's said here, but how Chewy's saying it's Win. We would say Win. That's the closest one, like WIN. It's the closest. But I grew up saying Nguyen because it's easier for someone to see my name and then say Nguyen than all those letters, and you make one sound.
Yeah, one of my best friends growing up in middle school, his last name was Nguyen, and I was like, oh, okay. And I think the first time I tried to pronounce it, it was like, I think I pronounced it Nguyen.
Yeah.
And I was like, is the G silent? He was like, it is, but it's just Nguyen. It's like, it's just easier to say Nguyen. He's like, it's easier if people don't see my last name first.
Yeah. And there's like another Vietnamese name that is Huynh, which is Huynh. Which is why I kind of separated the two by saying Nguyen, because at least like Huynh and Win that just sound exactly the same.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
So it's super confusing.
What's up with V1 inks? This guy always talking about them.
Well, the V1 inks are the inks before they fix them. So when they fix them, they made the leaves tighter in the bottom housing, but they borked the stem somehow. So you took the god tier smooth switch of the Gathering ink and you made it scratchy. Now the leaves don't pop out, but now you're cherry picking a 75-cent switch to get good linear switches. So now that your cost per switch is way higher than 75 cents. And because of that, I chase after the V1 inks or the vintage inks or like OG inks, which if I tell someone that out loud, I sound freaking insane.
It's the inks, but it's the inks before, and it's like the cherry retooled. But then the retooled blacks were great, but then they were only great for like 2 weeks or whatever. If you had to find them from that 2 week period, that's I had inks. I had the V1 inks. I really enjoyed them. I thought they were very smooth, but I wound up selling them just because I didn't like the spring weight that I put on them. And then the person, I was kind of like, hey, I think I'm going to desolder this, and he was like, I'll pay you exactly how much the switches are if you leave it in the build. And I was like, all right, sounds good. And I haven't really used them since, but I do remember them still to this day, the V1 inks being the smoothest switch I have ever typed on.
Nice.
So I mean, they sounded fine. I like creams for the sound more, but creams and inks, they're different. They're completely different, and I like that thockier, that like more like where it's.
My creams sound like rattly. It's weird. I don't know if it's just like the inherent scratchiness of it, but
yeah,
I don't love them. I only have them because they're different from everything else.
Yeah.
Because a lube linear is gonna sound like a lube linear for the most part, especially to people outside the hobby. But a cream does not sound like a lube linear, like everything else. So it's fun to just change it up.
I overlubed and then overlubed more of my creams with 98 grams. And I mean, it's smooth as hell. It's smooth as hell, but it has this nice deep resonant hit to it. But you know, I just when it comes like even with the JWK, like it sounds fine, but I think Inks sounded okay to me, but to me I was like, if I want Inks, I'm doing this because I want this super smooth switch, and I never really went after them. I mean, most of you guys know here I'm heavy on the tactiles, so
yeah, and smooth and tactile. You don't really care about smoothness if you're a tactile fan.
yeah,
because that leaf is always gonna have friction.
there's something's happening there. You can try. I mean, that's kind of what the Zyka was made for, was to smooth out a Holy Panda a little bit, and make a Zelio sound better. But what are both of y'all's favorite Frankenswitch? Mine are Zykos.
I like Milky Top JWKs. I tried the Telios, but I like the JWK more.
I need to try that. That sounds fun.
It sounds super annoying. I hate Frankenswitching. Taking part one is time consuming enough.
Now you have to take part
do two.
And if you're making some, it's 3. It's even more annoying.
That's the Zyko, right? That's 3 parts.
Zyko's 3, unless you get. Now I've got the Glorious Pandas. I'll be picking up either tomorrow or Friday from Osiris. So I'm gonna try it with those, with just that entire top of that switch. You could do it with like the drop pandas too. It's just the top. But when I made them, it was a Halo Clear. Sorry, no, Halo True, a red Yak, and a Zelio V2, and it was annoying. Dance. Is this enough to make them dance? We had 5,000 on the highlight message. We can do one. Can we do one dance? Can we get a dance? Just the one from Mechs on Deck.
All right, let me change my sound so the music comes through. Give me a second. I gotta change some settings. I wasn't ready.
It's all good. So while he's doing that, let's see. The leaves are loose, but they're smoother. Typing on V1 inks right now. Will V2 Zykos have tighter leaves? I have no idea. Here, I'll turn our music off.
I don't hear any of it because I'm on the Discord. All right, I think I can do this.
And Dustin Vang, we'll get to your question after this.
Okay, pick a song. Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Okay, good. Because I switched it to a broadcast stream. Thank you to the GoXLR giving me the power to do this. Otherwise. So can chat hear the music?
Yeah. I mean, I could hear it, so I imagine.
Yeah, so it's pushing it through.
Yeah, it's coming through Discord.
All right.
It was louder.
Does it need to be louder?
Yeah, I can barely hear it. So if I can barely hear it, it's probably not.
All right.
There it is. Private show. I like it.
Yeah, I can hear it.
Yeah,
Nice.
it's golden. I love it. Oh my god. Yeah. Oh, there it is.
My knees. My boomer knees. I hurt.
That was, guys, more claps.
Thank you. I'm going to switch this back real quick.
Let's go. Oh, that was that was something else. Yeah, get some Mex on deck air horns in chat. Like that was brilliant. You also kicked a free weight. That was impressive.
I almost. I told my stream this, but I broke one of my toenails from one of these little dance sessions. Clean off. The entire toenail is gone.
Ooh.
And the work in progress getting it back. It'll probably return sometime in 2021.
So, I believe I am still coming through your audio, by the way.
Right, my bad.
No worries. Let's see. Barely leave my
Alright, we should be
creams, just
good.
break in. There you go. Okay. Yeah, I did that. Favorite
That
plate.
freeze?
You did for a quick second. It's still coming. I'm still coming through. I'm still bouncing back.
1 second.
No worries.
Should be clean now.
We good? We good.
Yeah.
All right, I don't hear myself anymore. Favorite plate materials? Mine's brass, hands down.
As a tactile fan, I expect that. You don't like carbon fiber?
I've tried. I've got a forged carbon plate heading my way for one of my boards.
Forged? Like a sword?
I imagine it's just two. I don't know. Someone said, "Do you want this?" And I said, "Fuck yeah, let's do it." So
I'm expecting like molten material pouring into a little mold,
A
like
little mold. And then
Mandalorian's
just-
armor.
just sitting there hammering it down. I love it.
I really like inks on palm,
There it is.
but unfortunately they don't work together. Like not JL, Pinocchio 415 keys. The fact that inks are fatter than standard MX style switches means I can't get them to work together. 1 second, let me grab the dog.
You're good. So the next question is favorite plate and mount style for tactiles. I'll answer this. I know he likes linears, but for me, so the question was favorite plate and mounting styles as well was the next question.
Uh-huh.
I like fixed plate because there's more metal, so there's more, there's less space, there's less awkwardness on the plate. And preference is sandwich because sandwich is super stiff. There's no point, it's just flat. There's not like hard points. It's very even. So
Sandwich is stiffer than top mount?
yes, because there's no direct points pinning it to anything. So
That makes
there's
sense.
no hard spots. Like-
So, for me, a lot of people would asking in my latest video why I prefer the Chimera 65. It's akin to what you just said about the sandwich mount. The Chimera 65, the plate where it gets sandwiched between the gaskets, it's thicker.
Mm-hmm.
Not thicker, it's longer. There's longer strips,
Yeah.
so there's more contact. Versus the Iron 165, which has little small points, and different from the leaf spring, which is also small points.
Mm-hmm.
Because the leaf spring is long, but the piece that connects to the alphas is small.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry,
No,
Catch
you're
my
good. You're good.
but
If I did anything close to that, I'd be like, "There, guys."
heavy breathing is what I'm
Exactly.
doing. But yeah, because the Chimera has longer points of connection, so there's a lot more material being held in place. The sound is better. The feel is better for me personally. And similar to the Kiko doesn't have as much material being sandwiched in the gasket either.
Yeah.
So for me, any plate material will work. I like palm. So if I get inks on palm with a long strip that attaches to the plate or attaches to the board, then it's gonna be amazing.
Mm-hmm.
But that's a very small thing I've been testing recently. One of my buddies, he just buys 10 boards of Form Factor and he does a shootout and he sells them all. I was like, this is some next tier this high level comparison in science.
He's shopping.
But,
I get it. I dig it. So did you try cream Pacas? No, but I did like cream stems and an MX black housing. I had that for a while.
I've tried cream pockets and I don't think they're as worth it as doing a creamsicle But it just makes the clack a little bit cleaner because there's less points of contact because it's just the center pole versus the sliders into the housing. But it's a very minute difference. A cream pocket is something you do when you got a little bit bored of just finding new boards and you just want to squeeze out that extra like 5-10% of sound. That's my opinion.
Yeah,
But
it's.
like,
I mean, it's kind of like sometimes I feel like sometimes with switches and stuff, it's like min maxing, right? You're like,
yeah,
it's like what's the best way I can do this, and usually it's the least cost effective way. It's going to be really annoying. Can't wait for the Prophet and the 7V just because the different mounting systems. I am dying for something new. I feel that I'd love for something a little different.
what about that maglev? That's the maglev and the torsion mount.
The maglev that's the what's that called? I always forget.
I remember it was orange.
Lodestone.
Yeah, the orange lodestone just rolls off the tongue.
I know I would not like that, but it's cool.
The orange or the maglev?
The orange, the lodestone, because I don't like flexible at all, and that's literally like, let's try and make something max flex.
So you've never done like a half plate then?
No, I've tried a few, but I'm just like, it just doesn't do it for me. The sound, I don't like the sound either. I think the sound's just kind of thrown off for me. I'd be willing to try a Holy Panda now that they have the 5-pin Holy Pandas.
Yeah, I have a set here.
I need to get some. But now that they have the 5-pin, I'd be willing to try like a half plate with that. But you could never do it with a Holy Panda before because no one in their right mind would do a half plate Holy Panda build.
No, absolutely not. People try it with Vid Blacks for sure. Like, they'll try the 3-pin. I'm like,
good luck.
If you hate yourself,
yeah, have fun. If you never want to be happy with it. So, but guys, if you have any more questions, I'm going to quickly shout out our awesome sponsors. For what they are running, we've got switchmod.net/mechs on deck. They're going to be running GMK Muted here in Muted 2 here in January, so keep an eye on that. Dixie Mech, you can go to mechsondeck.dixiemech.com. If you use that code, it really does help us with the bump backs with a GMK 8008-2 running right now. The classic kind of gray, navy, pink set, and now they're adding the blue instead of pink, so that should be a fun little addition. Project keyboards, you can go to mechsondeck.project.link. GMK Stealth is running right now. Lots of cool kits in that set, so be sure to check that out. And then canonkeys.com/mechsondeck for GMK Pink on Navy, which has one of the best desk mats I've seen in a long time. I love the repetitive desk mats, so be sure to check that out, as well as our awesome partners, Zap Cables. He is going to be shutting his doors for about a week here on the 19th, so get any orders you want in now so he can get them shipped out to you. Typebeast, typebea.st, just released his 10th newsletter today. So if you want to go read and check on exactly what's happening right now, click that, join the newsletter, and follow him. And he's got some great stuff to say. And then Smitheroon, head up smitheroon.com. They've got great merch on there. They've got very comfortable sweatpants. And they've also made some pretty solid boards with the Iron 165 and Iron 180. Extras of those. Just keep your ears to the floor. So Frisco Melt says, Andy Nguyen, if you could design a board, what would be the unique or key features?
Okay. I've been really into the lower front height because I don't like having things on my desk. So being a fan of 65, it's because I want a smaller board. So a lower front height, kind of flatter typing angle. So like a Bauer typing angle. The front height of the Bauer was really nice too. And like I said, with the plate, the mounting points to the gasket mount, it would be a gasket mount board with longer strips attached to it, centered USB-C with a daughter board, so there's no issues with like being required to use a south-facing switch near the USB-C port or something like that. And aluminum, like that's pretty much it. I just like a heavier board too, so having aluminum, maybe a brass weight, depending on cost, because I'm talking with some vendors because they want to run a prototype board, and they're telling me the prices, and just kind of getting some feedback. With the brass weight, it adds so much more to the price. So I would rather have it be.
This thing is expensive as shit.
Yeah.
This is a 5-pound keyboard, and on top of all of that, shipping is expensive too. So you have to think about. That's the other add-on too. Is people are like, "Why is it expensive?" I'm like, "Well, it's a heavy board, and then on top of just raw materials, weight is a factor."
Yeah. And I'm a linear fan, so that's why I like the gasket mount and like the flexible plates. So I would go for something like Palm and PC plates, just because PC is hard to get done on your own as a private individual. So having it included would be great. Or it could go with the affordable route like Haneke's and Upas is doing with FR4 plates or everything, which brings the overall cost of the board down as well. PC is a little bit more expensive, FR4 is dirt cheap, and has great performance. So.
Yeah. I've typed on a few FR4 plates, and I enjoy them. They're not for me personally on sound, but you know, I get the appeal. Someone sent me an FR4 Baca plate. They asked if they could make one. I was like, I don't give a shit. If you have the files for it, go for it. He's like, well, I'll send you one. I was like, all right, sweet. And it's cool to type on. I enjoy it.
Would you agree it makes switches sound quieter, like music?
A little bit. It's not. They don't ring as much. It's a little more like. It's like, to me, it'd be if the difference in an FR4 plate is, if you want that kind of more muted sound, put some foam in the board. With FR4, you don't need to put foam in the board if you want a more muted sound. So, but I like my Baca being loud as shit. So,
I would love the loud boards if I didn't have a sharing office with my fiance. I feel so bad when I type on the Moyu Blacks. Like, if I just want to do a typing test real quick, I know she can hear every single thing because it sounds like I'm punching the keyboard.
That's how Osiris always makes fun of me, because whenever I type on heavy springs all day long. So when I type on like my laptop, it's just like I'm just punching through it.
It like rattles the case.
So, does your board use does your fiance use custom boards?
We're gonna build her Mysterium.
Ooh, there you go. That'll be fun.
But she requires a numpad, so on top of that, I have to do a dizzy pad.
You should look at the what's it called? The barley corn.
She's a Mac user, so I'm pretty sure she's gonna want the F keys for all
the extra stuff.
Things,
okay,
yeah.
I feel you. Yeah, because my wife has a Bauer with Zycos, very loud. Love it. I get to listen to it all day. So I never have to feel bad about typing on a loud board. Now, okay, I say that it's not here, but I've got this it's this Korean Alps knockoff board that's so loud and obnoxious, and I pull it out like once every 2 or 3 months to type on for a couple hours, just because it's just this. I mean, it sounds like some terrible board from the 80s, except it's like
a typewriter, maybe.
Yeah, pretty much. And it's just and after like 10 minutes, she's like, "So you gonna like pull out a different board or?"
Give you a little hint.
So. Yeah, and I've typed on it, like I've used it just chatting with some friends and keeping them saying it is very loud. So what's your keyboard build pecking order, sounds, look, feel?
Sound, feel, looks. And looks are last, mostly because I'm a full-on touch typer, so I'm looking at the screen. So when sound and feel bothers me, like a ticking stab, I can't unhear it, can't really feel it, but I can't get it out of my brain. Whereas if I, like the Mode 80 has like a big forehead, I get over that in like 5 minutes. I'm not looking down.
Mm-hmm.
So for me, it's the last thing, but as a whole, I make sure I like the look, which is why I got rid of my Kiko 165. Because if I had that next to a Vega, I'd be like, why would I keep a 2000? Now it's like freaking 1600. Why would I keep a board that costs more than $1,000 when something like the Vega can do the same thing and looks the same from the top?
Yeah. Yeah, I'd say that's exactly mine. Sound, feel, look. Mainly because, I mean, they're all very important. I'm not going to compromise one of those. If I'm going for a personal build, I'm probably not going to compromise any of those.
Yeah.
But to me, feel, because most of my boards are brass plate. Like, I don't really venture out much further than that. I know the feel is going to be fine as long as I pick a good switch. I have a tester board. I have a tester plate that I'll throw in my Baca for switches. So I'll use the switches for a while before I solder anything in. But sound is a big deal. If it sounds rough, I won't. It'll drive me insane. So
Yeah, like my Vega, the Gateron Ink V1s, because of the loose sleeve, the bottom out has a little bit of a crunch that no one can really hear on the sound test. But I know that that's not a full smooth actuation from top to bottom out back to return. And because of that, I'm gonna take that out. I'm gonna solder in the inks into the build because of the loose sleeve.
Yeah.
And some people might think I'm crazy, but sound is the most important thing.
It is.
I know I can hear
it. Yeah.
I don't. Do you wear headphones when you're working and stuff, listening to music? Because I don't.
I wear headphones in Discord chat and on stream, and now even on Saturday streams, I don't wear headphones. I have the music just low enough where it doesn't hit the mic, and I love it. I'm like, cool. It's weird. It's been getting hard getting used to because I am hearing myself a lot more, and I'm like, I'm like, am I talking so loud? So
yeah,
but. If I get a little too animated, I might get a ping that's like, "Hey, you're screaming like right next to me." I'm like, "Yeah, sorry." Get a little too hyped. So
yeah, I don't stream with headphones either, and sometimes I'll mess up a setting going between scenes or something, where like the gain is too high, and then I'm like, "Oh, I'm sorry." And I go back to the VOD like, "Oh dear God, I'm sorry."
Terrible. So, well. Mr. Andy Nguyen, what is coming up for you? What are you excited about? How are you going to finish this this good year for you streaming wise? Probably not the greatest year for you, and as well as everybody else with the rest of the world going on.
Yeah.
How are you looking to finish 2020, and what are you looking forward to in 2021?
I plan on just changing it up and interacting more with the community. I feel like me streaming and building boards has been so solo, so siloed. Everyone's just watching me do something. Now that I've been able to achieve getting partner, I want to do like games. I want to have more interaction with people, include more people on calls, and really focus on the part that I like, interacting with people. Maybe do less builds. Just like the volume of builds is really getting to me, and it's making me enjoy boards less. Like getting back to YouTube because Twitch might implode sometime. Yeah, it looks like it might. But overall, like the community has been growing at a pretty great rate, and there's good people in the community, and that's been really rewarding this year because I didn't have a Discord before.
Yeah.
It was just me DMing like 3 people like, is this a good deal, bro? Like, I'm trying to buy this keyboard, has these switches. I get annoyed when I get those questions now, but I remember like the second week into the hobby.
Yeah, when you're just
whoever was willing to respond got inundated with questions.
Yeah, absolutely. It's like, hey, I know I asked a really simple question, but I'm going to hit you with 40. So, shout out to 001 right shout out to 001 Anthony for answering those questions for me. So, and then outside of that, we usually end our streams with 2 of the last questions. So the first one is, what is your favorite and least favorite part of the hobby?
My favorite part of the hobby is the community, and it's a very cop-out answer because people say that about everything. Favorite part of the company is the people I interact with on a regular basis.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, but it's true, right?
It's true. Like we are lucky to understand and live in a virtual world through Discord and these calls and streams like this, because there are people that really don't like interact online, and being unable to go outside and meet their friends, it's really messing with their mental and emotional health. And it sounds weird, but I understand it. Like, let's say you can't see your friends and family for how long has it been? 9 months?
9 months, yeah.
That's gonna weigh down on you pretty heavily. I don't feel like I've missed anything because of all the friends and stuff, because I can start DMing a friend about the hobby and we have like a mutual interest, which is like the hardest thing. And because of that, it's been easier to bear the weight of being locked inside for the most part. And that's my favorite part of the hobby. But at the same time, because I'm so involved, it becomes my least favorite part of the hobby, because as a creator, as a personality, I am an easy target for people. Yeah. Like, I say something, they'll screenshot it, they'll be like, he said this, he did this. And people forget that you and I were regular people, and we're putting our time.
I work at an elementary school, man.
Yeah, so that weighs down on me sometimes. Like if I get some nasty messages or people are talking about me somewhere, that is really heavy for a creator. And I remember that the people I looked up to before I got in were YouTube, like tech reviewers and tech creators. And I would see some of their comments sometimes, and I remember when I was watching videos, if like the YouTuber made a mistake, I'd be like, here at 3 minutes 50 seconds, you forgot to cut this out. And now that I'm a creator, I'm like, dude, why does it matter? Like they probably worked 40 hours to get that video up, and they're just like, I got something out, it's done, it looks like 80-90% good enough, I want to walk away and do something else.
No, I gotta do something else. It's always the next thing's always the best thing to look forward to.
Yeah.
So we got one quick question before I get to the last one. Or Areja Technologies. What are your top 3 things you have learned from building keyboards? That's a good question. Do your homework beforehand. I think that's the first one for me.
Yeah.
Like pop a few switches in the plate, like take it apart, put it back together real quick. Just get a quick understanding of the board.
Yeah, like watching a build stream or reading the directions. A lot of vendors have directions for their boards, or designers have directions for their boards.
Yeah. Specifically from building keyboards, I guess finding alternative ways to fixing problems, because not every single problem is the end all be all. There's usually a workaround for it.
Yeah, anything is fixable on keyboards.
Yeah. I don't know what the last thing is. This is a cop-out. Learn from your mistakes, right? Try not to make the same mistake twice.
Yeah.
Anything you want to add to a list, or?
I really like that second point where it's like you realize anything can be fixed.
Yeah.
It's really hard to completely destroy a keyboard, and that kind of takes a load off. The only thing I would, in custom mechanical keyboards, analysis paralysis is a real thing. So I feel like these people ask me all these questions about what the best switch is, what the best keyboard is, best mounting style, best plate material, best combination, best lube, best spring, all that. The more you ask that, the less time you're gonna have enjoying keyboards.
Yep. You
should just buy one, and I always recommend just buy a hot swap, dude. Buy a hot swap, pick a switch, pick it out of the hat. Even it's like if you like linears, if you like tactiles. If you don't, buy one of each.
Yep. We end every stream and I say buy a switch tester. You can't get the full scope of what the switch will feel like, but you'll probably have a good idea. It will lead you to going, I'm definitely not going to waste money on these. Like you'll look at that and you'll go, now I know what I'm going to head towards. So
yeah,
buy a switch tester always. So our last question: The Office or Parks and Rec?
Oh. I like Parks and Rec.
Suck it, Osiris. You're not even here to say it.
They're just so
Parks
hilarious. They're so ridiculous.
I'll get him back in focus. There's Mr. Ron Swanson.
Nice. The Office, like, I can't think of his name right now.
Michael Scott.
Michael Scott. There are times where I'm like, you cannot be this horrible of a person. If this person existed, I would be so aggravated. But because he's like a character and he's exaggerated, it makes sense. But some of the things he's done, I'm like, oh my god, there's no way.
Yeah, there's no way.
Parks and Rec, I never get that like kind of frustration. It's just like they're all huge caricatures and they interact in a way that is hilarious to me.
Yeah. Don't even say that, Scott. Don't even say Scott's Tots, that episode. I literally can't watch that episode. So, but Andy Nguyen, thank you for joining. Sorry that Cyrus couldn't be here. I know he wanted to be here. I do apologize for that, but thank you for joining. When can we catch you? Where can we catch you? What are you doing next?
I stream Mondays, Wednesdays at 6:30 p.m. PT, Saturdays 10 a.m. so I can catch the whole spectrum. But the next big stream is going to be Saturday. That's going to be my holiday stream. It's going to be a longer one. We're going to open it up to like Among Us with the chat, with the subs, Call of Duty, Valorant, Overwatch, whatever. We might do that Twitch, Amazon Prime watch party. We're going to be doing giveaways and all this stuff just because I've had a really good year in terms of building a community, finding a way to earn income without taking advantage of anybody. We're just providing entertainment.
Yeah.
And I have a bunch of boards that I can't sell on mech market. So they end up being gifted to the community, which is the next best thing.
Boom. There it is. So, well, thank you very, very much for coming on the show. Thank you for being flexible. We did have to, due to somebody messing up this is the schedule. You actually you were flexible enough to go back to this week, so I appreciate that. Guys, who's live right now? I saw Max F was live. Is that?
Let's see.
I see Max. I see Hugo. Lightning.
Oh, it's a busy night.
Yep. Who's that? We'll go to Max, though. We haven't thrown it to Max in a little bit. Where is he on his stream? I've got an ad playing right now, so I can't.
Let's see. It looks like he's only starting, I think. No, he's an hour and a half in.
Hour and a half in.
I have an ad as well.
I have Taco Bell. Okay, so he's still putting. Yeah, we'll throw it to Mr. Max. So, raid. So there we go,
Max is
guys.
the best looking.
But yeah, thank you very, very much for coming on, guys. This Saturday we're going to be doing the Vitkus Strika Proto from Blind Assassin, so that should be a really fun build. That will be Osiris at 2 p.m. So be sure to check that out as well. And Andy, again, thank you for joining.
Thank you for having me
today. And hopefully you didn't hurt yourself too much dancing.
My knees, and I might need to oil them, the Vietnamese or Chinese oil where you rub it in.
Exactly. So, well, thank you guys. And remember, buy a Switch tester.
Yep. All right, bye, everyone.
And we are...